I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim spent hours at my house with him. In 2017, Kathy Rumler wrote, Trump is so gross. And then Epstein wrote, worse in real life and up close. You got Jeffrey Epstein privately calling Donald Trump worse than gross. Jeffrey Epstein, have them ask my houseman about Donald Trump almost walking through the door, leaving his nose print on the glass as young women were swimming in the pool, and he was so focused he walked straight into the door. This is like a pervert Mr. Magoo situation here. By young women in that email, he absolutely means children. Let's not forget. This. Ugh. What an embarrassing day for America. And Thomas Landon says, okay, so now everyone coming to me thinking I have juicy info on you and Trump. And then Jeffrey Epstein wrote, would you like a photo of Donald and girls in bikinis in my kitchen? Jeffrey Epstein in newly released emails from 2011 and 2019. Quote, the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim spent hours at my house with him. Of course he knew about the girls. Ooh, shit. That's not good. What? Original message from Jeffrey Epstein. I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. Oh my God. That's quite the smoking gun. How the fuck are they going to spin that one, you guys? Jesus. This is crazy. This is insane. This is the first time seeing of this. I've barely woken up yet. Is this from Ghislaine Maxwell? Is G Vacation Ghislaine Maxwell? From Gmax to G Vacation. No, that's Jeffrey Epstein. G-E-F. Yeah, that makes sense. Jeffrey Epstein is gvacation@gmail.com. Okay. You said, victim Mar-a-Lago, redacted. Trump said he asked me to resign. Never a member ever. Of course he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Could that not be a reference to poaching girls from Mar-a-Lago? I think that's what that's all about, right? The first one, not so much. This one feels almost like a little bit of a nothing burger, but this one, let me just read this again. I want you to realize that that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. Okay, so this one is dated from 2015. And then in 2015, Michael Wolff. Who is that again, guys? Who is Michael Wolff again? I know that name. What is that name from again? Michael Wolff was the author, right? The writer? Yeah. Okay, all right. Michael Wolff said, I hear CNN is planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in scrum afterwards. And then Epstein says, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or the house, which house? Are we talking the island? I got more questions than answers. I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. If it really looks like he could win, you could save him generating a debt. Ew. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. You have to remember the timeline. Guthrie lawsuit just happened and Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton were implicated on being on the Epstein plane and island. It is alleged that Captain Cankles has essayed and at least one girl, possibly more. I've seen unredacted court file, but I can't verify it. There was a Jane Doe, and I think her name eventually came out, but there was a Jane Doe that alleged that Donald Trump her when she was 14 or 13, and then she was going to bring a civil suit and then canceled at the last minute. Her lawyer said it was because she had safety concerns. But that's been known for years. Epstein said he knew how dirty Donald is. Are these the full, is that the full tranche of emails right there? This is from Epstein. Message, recall Prince Andrew's accuser came out of Mar-a-Lago. Sender Steve Bannon. Can't believe nobody is making you the connective tissue. That came from Bannon? And then from Epstein, F and B only. I don't know what this seems to be an exchange between Bannon and Epstein. Is that what's going on here? This is from Epstein. I'll call you from New York. So they're talking about Errol Morris here. So this is one of the, if not the greatest documentarian of all time. Basically invented the true crime genre. And he made a movie called American Dharma, where it's just him interviewing Steve Bannon. It's a really good movie. If you guys haven't seen it yet, rent that shit and watch it tonight. It's fucking so disturbing. Like an hour and a half sit down conversation with Steve Bannon. Morris concedes that American Dharma could be an uncomfortable experience for those still wrestling with the realities of the Trump era in America. It's kind of a horror movie, says Morris. I don't know how better to describe it. Jeffrey Epstein sends a message to Kathy Rumler. I don't know who that is. I'll call you from New York. She says, it makes no difference whether it was his money. Issue is failure to disclose. Plus fact that he has lied his ass off about it makes it clear he knew it was illegal. This doesn't sound great. I think he makes the argument that if it was his, Trump's money, making it not illegal, though he also said he only found out afterwards, and the fact, according to the indictment, was billed as services rendered and grossed up. I'm sure his account flipped anyways. I did talk in detail to Starr yesterday, re-indictments, how Trump can make a deal, special counsel. Clinton's trash can, yes, Starr gave me more, yuck. I don't know what that is. I think maybe this has to do with the payment to Stormy Daniels. I'm not sure what this is all about. Dear Brett Japp, I left you a telephone message earlier. The Mail on Sunday newspaper is running a story on Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew, and others this weekend. We urgently require responses from Miss Maxwell to the following questions. Our deadline is noon tomorrow. My telephone numbers are blank blank. Ghislaine Maxwell, so redacted says Ghislaine Maxwell offered her a job as a masseuse with Jeffrey Epstein when she was age 15. Miss Maxwell led redacted upstairs on her first visit to him at his Palm Beach house. Mr. Epstein was naked on a massage table. Wait, hold on. Is there any message? Is there any there has to be some kind of reference to Trump here, right? Ehud Barak? Isn't that the former prime minister of Israel? Yes. Miss Maxwell and Mr. Epstein arranged for Ehud Barak to have sex with several girls, often at Mr. Epstein's Palm Beach house. Miss Maxwell piloted President Bill Clinton in a helicopter to a dinner on Little St. James where two brunettes, Miss Maxwell, Virginia, and Mr. Epstein were at the table. From the Duke to Ghislaine Maxwell. Hey there, what's all this? I don't know anything about this. You must say so, please. This has nothing to do with me. I can't take any more of this. This is from Epstein here. Could you point out to Ariana Huffington that the same type of person, same as Strauss-Kahn, is Andrew's accuser, long criminal record, total liar. Ariana should champion the dangers of false allegations. Send a reporter or reporters to investigate. The palace would love it. The girl in the photo was nothing more than a telephone answerer. She was never 15, according to her version. She worked for Trump first at that age at Mar-a-Lago. It's ridiculous, but the press likes the press like Strauss-Kahn is afraid to question women. This is from Peggy Siegel, whoever that is. If you rewrite your last email in better grammar, and so I have better understanding, I can cut and paste and send it to Ariana Huffington from me. Did you know why Prince Albert's Charlene fled to the airport with a one-way ticket back to South Africa? Because she found out about a third illegitimate child that is 3 months old. The palace officials followed her to the airport and probably made her an offer she could not refuse. We'll get details from Jim Coleman when he comes home Sunday night. These emails are fucking wild. Okay, this is from Epstein. I think a great opportunity has arisen. Just like the headlines of a hotel maid now proven to have lied in the Strauss-Kahn case, the girl who accused Prince Andrew can also easily be proven to be a liar. I think Buckingham Palace would love it. You should task someone to investigate the girl, redacted, that has caused the Queen's son all of this aggro. I promise you she is a fraud. You and I will be able to go to Ascot for the rest of our lives. I don't know what the fuck that means. I know there is a public police report that no one has had the courage to publish, as they do not want to be seen attacking a victim, but being falsely accused will be the new headline. From Epstein in 2014, he wrote, "You need to talk to boss," sent to Kathy Rumler, who said, "Agreed, but I need to be prepared to say yes before I talk to him." To which Epstein replied, "Understood. It comes down to high risk reward, low risk reward, professional, emotional, and financial. And then Kathy Rumler replies, "Most girls do not have to worry about this crap." And then Epstein wrote, "Girls? Question mark. Careful, I will renew an old habit." Ugh. This is from 2014. This week, Teal, Summers, Bill Burns, Gordon Brown, Jagland, who is the Council of Europe and Nobel Chairman, Mongolian President, Hardeep Puri from India, Boris Gates, Jabor from Qatar, Sultan from Dubai, Koslin from Harvard, Icon Black, Woody, I guess that's Woody, what's his name? Woody Allen, yeah. Woody's gamer tag. Did you see JFK's grandson is running for Congress? No, but that guy's he's pretty funny. He goes on, "You are a welcome guest at any. Also, if you think there are interesting people in town, everyone here for the climate summit, Clinton Security Council. Holy shit, I'm on redacted for the next 30 minutes." And then Kathy replied, "Doesn't look like you are prioritizing your schedule very effectively. How are you going to manage all of that? This is Unga week, so the boss will be in town too. I'll be here all week. You may get sick of me. Just sat down on the train, so can't talk freely." So Epstein wrote, this is a new exchange, to Tom Barak. Wait, who's that one again? Epstein wrote, "Hope you are well. Photos look good. FYI, I received many calls a week about both Donald, in parentheses redacted, Marla, beauty contest, Mar-a-Lago, etc., and Clinton from reporters. Less so recently with Clinton, but my answers are always I have nothing to say or I try to ignore altogether. A few times I have been ambushed on the street with questions, but am more careful now." And then Tom Barak, I recognize that name. Who's Tom Barak? "Hope you're good. Let's catch up." And then from Jeffrey Epstein to Tom Barak, he said, "Send photos of you and child. Make me smile." Ugh. Now that could be just a innocuous, the guy just had a baby. That seems what it probably is. But coming from Epstein makes your stomach turn a little bit. "Send photos of you and child." Tom Barak, hold on. Tom Barak is an American real estate investor. Does he have kids? Children. 6. He has 6 children. I'm assuming he had just had a kid, but it just sounds fucking gross coming from Epstein. Divorced in 2016, no chance. No matter how it's framed, why send pics of you and your kid? Maybe I'm being a little too charitable to fucking Jeffrey Epstein here. Okay. Michael Wolff in 2016 said, I'm interviewing him this afternoon. Anything you think I should ask?" Epstein wrote, "Do you want to be provocative? Trump shuttle, Hawaiian tropic contests, mortgage on Mar-a-Lago, revenue of golf courses as income, total debt of all COS." What is COS, guys? What is that? "People don't want to contribute money as he said he's worth over 10 billion. Why should they? California already coming up short. Father bought chips in the casino to stave off bankruptcy. Chips because it was better than a first lien under the gambling rules. Matt and his bagman his loan from his brother-in-law? How much did his father leave? His brother Robert? Otherwise, you can just throw in easies. Damn. This is kind of a lot. Somebody was, so Michael Wolff was reaching out like, what do you suggest I ask? And then he says, the Trump shuttle. What is that? Hawaiian Tropic Contest? What went on there? Mortgage on Mar-a-Lago? This implies a whole lot of criming. If we had a FBI that we could rely on, they should probably look into that. Michael Wolff said, job is to get the hard ones in without being ejected from the room. What's the one question that pierces through? Epstein says, maybe you can ask why Bernie Nussbaum got Vince Foster's letter quickly. That is a Hillary problem. He would smile. Then you can ask his relationship with the Electricians Union and Mar-a-Lago. And out you go. And then Michael Wolff says, what's the thumbnail on Nussbaum Foster? And then Epstein wrote, Nussbaum White House counsel, Hillary doing naughties with Vince. What's going on there? From Michael Wolff to Epstein, there's an opportunity to come forward this week and talk about Trump in such a way that could garner you great sympathy and help finish him. Interested? In a separate email from Epstein to Peter Mandelson, 63 years old. You made it. Peter Mandelson said, I have decided to extend my life by spending more of it in the U.S. And then Epstein says, in the Donald White House. And then Peter says, what's the Donald White House? And how are you? And then Epstein says, Trump and having a great deal of fun. In hindsight, you were right about staying away from Andrew. I was right in your staying with Ronaldo. Kathy, so this is a separate one. In 2017, Kathy Rumler writes, Trump is so gross. And then Epstein wrote, worse in real life and up close. You got Jeffrey Epstein privately calling Donald Trump worse than gross. That's probably not great. This shit is crazy. This shit is fucking crazy. I was beginning to think that, I was thinking that the whole accusation of Johnson didn't want to seat that one representative because of the Epstein files. I was like, I don't know, maybe that's just like a political jab. No, it looks like that's what they were doing because this shit is fucking nuts. Kind of makes sense that they wouldn't want this out before the elections last week. Like it really is that bad. Worse in real life and up close. And then Kathy said, hard to imagine. He really does remind me of MacGyver. And I'm suffering PTSD. And then Epstein wrote, if he's MacGyver, are you Marla Maples? And then Kathy wrote, no, I'm ranked much lower. I don't know what the fuck all that means. In 2017, Epstein wrote, who will represent Acosta at hearings? And then Roy Black, I'm not sure who that is. He will be by himself, perhaps a Trump administration aide to assist and accompany him. Oh, wait, Acosta. Is that the guy who cut the sweetheart deal? Wasn't that the lawyer that got the sweetheart deal for... Ew! And then the guy that like currently works for the Trump administration or did during the first term. These emails are from 2017, like well over a decade after Acosta gave Epstein the sweetheart deal. This is from Ashley Parker in 2017. Ashley Parker here at the Washington Post. I covered the White House and am emailing because my colleague Bob Costa and I getting ready to post a story about President Trump's decision to move ahead with retaining outside counsel. We understand you're one of the finalists for the role and have already spoken with senior White House officials. I just wanted to let you know that we plan to mention your name and, of course, see if you want to comment. And I also want to check and see if you were open to chatting totally off the record, just in case there is any nuance or guidance you'd like to provide. I'm at redacted, or my desk is redacted. And then this is from Jeffrey Epstein. The same day to Ride Weingarten says, do you want it or Jared? And then Reed Weingarten says, do I have a choice? And if so, your view, question mark. So is this Epstein helping Trump to secure outside counsel, or is this Trump helping to communicate with Washington Post? I think that's what it is. The latter, right? Redacted wrote, are you still plugged into show? And then Epstein replied to Redacted, while there will be some changes this week, funny, but Kasowitz is getting turned down repeatedly by law firms unwilling to represent Donald. And then Redacted wrote, more would represent Donald if Paslowitz out of picture. Not surprising. Very hard to be law firm representing POTUS and know what to do when POTUS lies to you. My World thinks poorly of Gorlick for representing Jared. How guilty is Donald? Of crudity, surely. Of gross ignorance, surely. Of being utterly without the intellect temperament for job, surely. Ooh. Oh no. Oh my goodness. He called him a fucking dummy is what he did. Of being over line on family profiting, very likely. Of gross disregard for appearances, almost surely. Of Russians having financial leverage, less clear. Of Russians helping an election with complicity of his campaign, plausible but not certain. Strikes me if you work for Donald, you don't freelance, so he is guilty of whatever his campaign did. Do you agree with foregoing? That was Summers. Sorry, that was not Epstein saying that. That was Summers. And then Epstein wrote, your world does not understand how dumb he really is. Oh no. He will blame everyone around him for bad results. Gary Cohn in good place, as is Jared. All others not long for this world. Interesting argument whether using WhatsApp is obstruction of justice. Deletes after sending, question mark. And then this was in May of 2017. So this is like at the height of kind of Russiagate reporting. This is from Epstein, who redacted, the subject of that being, how are you? Send this interview to Donald Trump, please. It's going to be everywhere. And then Epstein says, okay. So this establishes that, wait a second. Was it known that Epstein had a direct channel to Donald Trump while Donald Trump was president? I don't know what the YouTube link is. Let's find out. Video is unavailable. The video is private. I don't know what that is. Okay. ChatGPT says there's no credible public evidence showing that Epstein and Donald Trump were still in contact in 2017. I think this is breaking. Some redacted person asked Jeffrey Epstein to send Donald Trump a link to something. And then Epstein said, okay. Now that could have come indirectly. Just to be fair, if this was a court, I don't think this establishes that there was direct connection, but at the very least there was indirect connection. And whoever sent this thought that Jeffrey Epstein would be able to get something to Donald Trump. So it implies a direct connection. Look up the previously leaked call between Wolf and Epstein. No, I listened to that entire conversation, I think, but I don't remember in that conversation with Michael Wolf if he said that they were still talking. I don't think that he did. More emails to come. I mean, this stuff is pretty, I'm saying this is like, Trump is going to get buried in this news cycle for probably at least like a week, maybe 2 weeks. If they stagger the email releases, that's what they should do. That's what they should do. They should do it like WikiLeaks. They should stagger that shit. Like every week, do a new tranche. Drip, drip, drip is what they should do. But I don't know. Maybe people would be pissed. Maybe people would be like, think that was too corrupt or something. Who released this? This is the House Democrats on the Oversight Committee. Did what's-her-name get sworn in? Is that why this is being released? Did what's-her-name get sworn in and then vote to release them? New York Times Live. Epstein files updates. GOP lawmakers released thousands of files. Jesus fucking Christ. House Republicans on Wednesday released a titanic trove of 23,000 pages of documents. Oh my God. We do not have time to look through all this shit. Updated 20 minutes ago. House Republicans on Wednesday released a titanic trove of 23,000 pages of documents from the estate of the disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein after months of delays. Shortly after Democrats released emails suggesting that President Trump knew more about Mr. Epstein's sex trafficking than he has previously acknowledged. The documents were obtained by the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, Representative James Comer, through a subpoena in August. They were published online about 2 hours after House Democrats released an email from Mr. Epstein in which he wrote that Mr. Trump spent hours at my house with one of Epstein's victims. He's going to get fucking buried by this for, I don't know. Let's predict the news cycle here. This is definitely more than one day, my friends. Okay, so this is from Larry Summers. Was there, spoke well, spent time with SoftBank deputy Najeeb, or some such PIF guy too, flying back. How is life among the lucrative and louche? I don't know what that means. Louche? Epstein says, anyone stand out? When we meet, I will endeavor to mesmerize you with stories of DC. So wild. And then this is from Larry Summers. SoftBank deputy guy I liked and seemed aware and honest. Son. Lots of slathering to Saudis. I yipped about inclusion. I observed that half the IQ in world was possessed by women without mentioning they are more than 51% of population. Minution plumbs new depths. War seems more likely than I used to think. Donald J. Trump is world's luckiest guy in terms of opposition, economy, etc. Still think his world will collapse. I'm still trying to figure out why American elite think if you murder your baby by beating and abandonment, it must be irrelevant to your admission to Harvard, but hit on a few women 10 years ago and can't work at a network or think tank. Do not repeat this insight. Oh no. Is Larry Summers still a thing? Is he still like, who the fuck is Larry Summers? I know that name. He's an economist. Former United States Secretary of the Treasury. Well, that's not great. Kathy Rumler, this is from 2018, wrote, here's a story from New York Times that I thought you'd find interesting. Principled case for impeachment isn't clear. What's missing is the courage. And then Epstein writes, I think he makes the argument that it was Trump's money, making it not illegal, though he also said he only found out afterwards. Did I already? Yeah, I already read all that. Okay, we read all this. I think we're done with all of it. Whoever suggested that I start from the bottom and go up, that was a good suggestion.
Congressman, when did you get this information?
We actually just received all of these emails, with a total of about 23,000 documents, actually a few days ago, so last week, and we've been going through, our team, of course, through all of these very carefully over the last few days. We obviously released some today. We'll be releasing additional documents likely later today. The important thing here is that we know, and we've been demanding, that Donald Trump and the DOJ release the full Epstein files. In what's been released today, which obviously is some quite serious, I think, connections between what Donald Trump may have known. There's communication between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, obviously making some claims about Donald Trump spending significant time, hours, with possibly one of the victims. There's also disturbing emails there about Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. The people can read for themselves. I think what's important right now is that we want to know why Donald Trump spent the entire campaign saying that he would release the files. And now that he's in the White House, there is a massive cover-up going on. The survivors deserve the truth.
He is going to get brutalized for, I think we're looking at a 3 to 6 day news cycle. We're Wednesday, so we still got a couple days of like primetime news. Maybe it crescendos on Sunday, or maybe this drags out longer because there's more emails coming, but he's going to get pounded on this. It couldn't have come at a better time too. My goodness, please. Thank you, God. I think we avoided, I think we just chopped the Democrats have no balls in cave discourse by about, 300%. I'm using Donald Trump math there. Don't you worry, Hutch. They will drop a bomb on some Middle Eastern country and this will be a thing of the past. That's it. Oh yeah, that's a good thing, actually. That's a good point. What is Trump going to do to try to change the narrative? Because he is going to try to do something, and it's probably going to be something big. I don't know if he's going to drop a bomb, but they're going to do something. They're going to try to change this story. They're going to try to change the narrative. What the fuck is this? Jeffrey Epstein. Have them ask my houseman about Donald Trump almost walking through the door, leaving his nose print on the glass as young women were swimming in the pool. And he was so focused, he walked straight into the door. This is like a pervert Mr. Magoo situation here. Like Mr. Magoo if he was a depraved sex offender. This story is nuts. By young women in that email, he absolutely means children. Let's not forget. This. Ugh. What an embarrassing day for America. Guys, I just don't think he's going to get impeached over this. I legitimately think there's no depths that he could descend to. I just don't think there's any universe where Republicans vote to impeach this guy. There could be a video of Donald Trump like a child, and I don't think he would be impeached. I think they would be like, oh, it's AI. Like they would find any way to not impeach. Did you see Polymarket's impeachment odds increase? I don't know. Maybe if it was literally that, then it would, maybe, But the fact that I even have to question, like, I don't know if the Republicans would impeach if there was video evidence that he was a child, The fact that I'm even asking that question tells you everything you need to know about the current state of the Republican Party. They're just so beholden to him. Here's what I do think, and I've said this many times, I've thought this for a while. I do think there is going to be a moment in time, and I don't know when that moment is, but I do think there's going to be a moment in time when, if not all Republicans, a great deal amount of elected Republicans are going to abandon ship at some point. The reason why it didn't happen the first time is because he only served one term. And as mad as all of those Republicans were at Donald Trump on January 6th, and I promise you, they were all fucking angry. All of them internally were like, this fucking guy, if I die because of this idiot. They were all thinking that. Every one of them were thinking that. And then McCarthy saved his political career by doing a photo op like 2 weeks later in Mar-a-Lago. And that sent a clear signal to the party that Trump wasn't going anywhere. And so at that point, they knew that it was locked in. Donald Trump has 3 years left. And then after that, he's done. So each Republican has to figure out like when exactly are they prepared to, because they have their own political careers to consider. And if you stick with Trump to the end, right up until the end, the wheels have already fallen off, the whole place is on fire, then that could drag them down as well. And so you are going to see a lot of Republicans at some point just flee. You know, I think a lot of them will do it kind of quietly, or as quietly as possible. You know, it'll be like a passing comment. They won't go too hard, but they'll make it known that, you know, because his presidency, I believe, his presidency is just going to keep going down, down, down. And I don't know what the number is in terms of aggregate approval. I don't know if it's 32%. I don't know if it's 30%. I don't know if it's 25%. Vishy, that would be actually, and Dosvidonia, that would actually be an interesting question that I would want to know. Would Republican strategists who work for these politicians, would they have like a literal number in mind? Because I assume they plan for a lot of contingencies. I assume they plan for a lot of possible outcomes. Do Republican strategists like tell their politicians that they represent, do they say things like, okay, if his numbers go down to 27%, then we have to like back away? I wonder if they plan that specifically. Vishy says yes, they do. I mean, this is brutal for Donald Trump, you guys. Brutal. You know, if you're in a stronger position, I think you can maybe weather these kinds of storms. But he was already in a fucking free fall. That is a bad arc right there. That's like oh my God, we're about to be in free fall pretty soon. So he's already weakened. He's already diminished. He's already like physically declining. And then this happens. I don't know. So I just want to say, like, I think we are a ways away. I don't think we're like close to the point where Republicans start to sort of flee. Like we're probably many months removed from that. But this is the worst time for this story to drop. Wishful thinking, Hutch. It's just about self-interest. Like if there's one thing you can predict about most politicians is that self-interest is going to be a really motivating thing. And if the leader of your party drops to 28% or something, you're going to be thinking to yourself, like, how do I distance myself from him without enraging the MAGA base? There is a basement that is low enough where Republican politicians start to back away. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been doing a kind of 180 as of late. AOC claims that she's motivated by spite and grievance because apparently Donald Trump shot her down to be the heir apparent to the Senate seat in Georgia that's going to be up. Ossoff's seat is going to be up in 2026. And so she wanted to run for that seat. Apparently Donald Trump said no, and she's pissed about that. But I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think she's very, very online. I think she can kind of see the writing on the wall. This presidency has just been different. Like this one is, I would say Trump 2.0 has been worse for Trump. This guy's a fucking idiot, but like, you know, it's stuff like this. Like you just didn't see a lot of tweets like this from Trump supporters during the first term. Oh, so apparently Trump is working behind the scenes. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. Apparently he's working behind the scenes. He's working on Nancy Mace because she signed on to the petition to release the files. And he's trying to convince Mace to take her vote back. And now I guess he's calling in Boebert because he's trying to pressure her to, like, he is directly trying to stop the release of these files, bro. This is nuts. This is fucking nuts, dude.
I have your statement about the new Epstein emails that have been released by House Democrats. Separate from why you believe the emails were made public, can you address their substance? Did the president ever spend hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with a victim?
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep. And this email you refer to with the name of a victim that was unredacted now and has since been reported on in this room, so I will go ahead and say it, Virginia Giuffre. And it was CBS's own reporting, Ouija, that recently wrote that Miss Giuffre maintained, and God rest her soul, that she maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her. And so I think it's a question worth asking the Democrat Party, and you should all go ask them after this briefing, of why they chose to redact that name of a victim who has already publicly made statements about her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and is unfortunately no longer with us. Mary.
Thank you, Kelly. Two questions on this. In the interest of transparency, why not just go ahead, release the full files on Epstein, get this all over with?
This administration has done more with respect to transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein than any administration ever.
Bro, there's reporting that the fucking White House is holding emergency meetings to try to pressure Boebert to not vote for the release.
People, we are cooperating and showing support for the House Oversight Committee. That's part of the reason you are seeing these documents that were released today, because of the House Oversight Committee's and Republicans' efforts to get these out to the public. This administration also moved, the Department of Justice also moved to unseal grand jury testimony, which we know, unfortunately, a judge declined those requests. So this administration has done more than any, and it just shows how this is truly a manufactured hoax by the Democrat Party. For now, they're talking about it all of a sudden because President Trump is in the Oval Office. But when Joe Biden was sitting in there, the Democrats never brought this up. This wasn't an issue that they cared about
make it
because
an issue,
they actually
bro.
don't care about the victims in these cases.
You guys were the ones that were saying we're going to release the files. Like, that's not something that presidents normally do.
And this entire thing, again, it's not a coincidence to the American people at home. There are no coincidences in Washington, D.C. And it is not a coincidence that the Democrats leaked these emails to the fake news this morning ahead of Republicans reopening the government. This is another distraction campaign by the Democrat and the liberal media, and it's why I'm being asked questions about Epstein instead of the government reopening because of Republicans and President Trump.
But given your interest in transparency, Caroline, why are White House officials then meeting with Representative Boebert in an effort to try and get her to not sign this petition calling for the release of the files?
Doesn't it show transparency that members of the Trump administration are willing to brief members of Congress whenever they please? Doesn't that show our level of transparency? Doesn't that show the level of transparency when we are willing to sit down with members of Congress and address their concerns? That is that's a defining factor of transparency. Having discussions with members of Congress about various issues, and I'm not going to detail conversations that took place in the Situation Room in the press briefing room. Reagan.
I have a question about the government shutdown.
Thank you. I'm glad someone does.
First, on the government shutdown, the shutdown deal reverses the administration's reps, and it also prohibits more from happening until the end of January. I'm wondering if the president had input on this element of the deal, and if he's at all disappointed that's going to reverse the downsizing of the federal government like it did during the shutdown.
I mean, look, I think it's about 6,000 workers total. When you look at that in comparison to the reduction in the federal workforce that this administration has done since January to get rid of the waste, the fraud, the abuse, and to reduce the size of our federal bureaucracy, we've done a lot of great work on that front, and we will continue to. But obviously, the president's main priority was to reopen the federal government and get people back to work, and that's what this deal accomplishes.
The one question and answer, that was insane what she said. The question was about why doesn't the administration just like release the files or something like that. And then the follow-up was, well, why is he meeting with, Rep. Boebert to try to convince her to not vote to release the files? The follow-up question to her claiming to be transparent. And her answer to that question was insane. That was that was one of the most insane answers I've ever heard from a press secretary. Just like up is down, left is right. Like This is a word that gets thrown around too often, but that was Orwellian. That was straight up Orwellian. That was like 2 + 2 = 5 situation right there. That was fucking insane. Epstein victim emailing Epstein about Trump. Do we know who this victim is? Is this Virginia Giuffre? Is that who this is? Okay, if we go all the way down at the bottom here. Redacted wrote, can we have dinner in Geneva on the 8th? I will be there on 7 and 8 December and going back to Kuwait on the 9th. Epstein says, at the moment I was flying to Paris on the 8th. I can leave earlier to get to Paris by 8:30. If you like to meet there. Geneva difficult to fly out of at night or lunch Saturday in Paris. Redacted wrote question marks. Epstein wrote, of courses. Epstein wrote, you are always welcome at my house and more private. Redacted wrote, very well, just send me the address again and the code to the door so I can get to the 2nd floor and send me the day and time. Thanks. Epstein wrote, 10 p.m. should I bring special cake from New York? Is Trump the special cake or is it just literally cake? Redacted wrote, sorry, that is 2512 for the gate. Epstein says yes. Redacted wrote, I'm at the door, but I will wait for my time. I don't want to come early to find Trump in your house. This was in, 2017? This was in December of 2017. Was President Trump making secret visits to Jeffrey Epstein's house? Or is this just a fucking joke? I mean, this is, I don't know how much this tells us definitively, but that could possibly be, there's no way, right? There's no way that Trump could take a secret trip to Epstein's house in December of 2017, right? Is it like a JFK situation where you go through like secret tunnels and there's like a room where you can fuck Marilyn Monroe or something? He could and he would. I mean, that's, I don't know, that seems a bit far-fetched. We should be able to just look up his schedule. I mean, it might, yeah, I mean, it could be just a joke, right? Yeah. Another email has hit the timeline. Jesus fucking Christ. This is from Jeffrey Epstein sent to Thomas Landon. Thomas Landon wrote, now everyone coming to me thinking I have juicy on you and Trump. This is from 2015. So this would have been, right before the primary votes, the Republican primary votes in 2016. There would have been a few debates that had happened already. So we were like thick in the primary season at this point. And Thomas Landon says, okay, so now everyone coming to me thinking I have juicy info on you and Trump. And then Jeffrey Epstein wrote, would you like a photo of Donald and girls in bikinis in my kitchen?
And then in a separate email years later with author Michael Wolff in 2019, Epstein said explicitly that Donald Trump, quote, knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. And then the Democrats cite another email with Wolff in 2015 where Epstein and Wolff are discussing if they can craft an answer for an upcoming Donald Trump interview. And Wolff sort of suggests that Epstein has leverage over Donald Trump, saying if he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house.
Trump is truth socialing. The Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything at all to deflect how badly they've done in the shutdown and so many other subjects. Only a very bad or stupid Republican would fall into that trap. The Democrats cost our country $1.5 trillion with their recent antics of viciously closing our country while at the same time putting many at risk. And they should pay a fair price. There should be no deflections to Epstein or anything else. And the Republicans involved should be focused only on opening up our country and fixing the massive damage caused by Democrats. Man, Boebert is probably getting fucking grilled in the Oval Office literally right now. He's probably surrounded by like 7 Trump cabinet people. Are you going to do the right thing? You don't think we'll come after you? You fucking bitch. I'll tweet out that video of you giving that guy a hand job right now. I'll do it. Showing her his phone. All I got to do is press send with a caption like, get this nasty ass skank out of Congress. You think I won't call you a groomer for giving your fucking boyfriend a over the pants hand job? surrounded by kids. You think I won't do that, you fucking bitch? That's probably like what is happening right now.
Now, look, Jeffrey Epstein, it was a manipulative monster. And so you really can't take anything he says to the bank here. But this is important evidence that people trying to understand what Donald Trump's relationship was with Jeffrey Epstein and what his role was and where he was and did he go to the house. This is important evidence that fills in some blanks on that picture. The Democrats believe there are more to come from these emails that have been released by the Epstein estate, John.
And we should note our friend Joyce Vance notes on Twitter just now, she's also pouring through these emails, that one of them dates from 2011 when Epstein would have had really little incentive to lie, and it's well before Trump's political career, of course. So this is, Ken, the story that Donald Trump just wants to go away. And he's done a pretty good job, I guess, of telling MAGA influencers, hey, stop talking about this.
Trump knew he was in a rough spot after the election on Tuesday. He gave a press conference, I think the next day. He just openly said, like, we had a bad night. I think the shutdown is hurting us. That was one of the reasons why so many people were upset that 8 Democrats voted to fund the government. So I think he was really banking on this shutdown fight ending as an opportunity to bend the narrative, shape the narrative, and move it more towards, look at the Democrats, look at the pain they caused, blah, 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 blah. And then this happens. And so I assume he's furious. I think that's the one thing that he has that he values the most, in my opinion. His ability to command headlines, for better or worse, but his ability to manipulate people into talking about this thing or that thing. I think he probably values that power more than most things. Maybe even more than the power of the presidency, like the ability to manufacture like headlines. And then this happens. And so I assume he's furious because that power is being taken away from him.